There are objects that do not fit where they are found. Not because they are impossible, but because they are unnecessary, unexplained in a way that quietly unsettles the logic of history. The Roman world, vast and methodical, left behind roads, aqueducts, inscriptions, and tools whose purposes are rarely in doubt. Its legacy is one of clarity, function, order. And yet, scattered across the former provinces of this empire, small hollow objects emerge from the soil, objects that refuse to be understood. They are made of bronze, carefully cast, precisely shaped, each one a geometric form with 12 flat faces, every face pierced by a circular hole of varying size. Small knobs sit at each corner, like deliberate accents. They are known today as Roman Dodecahedra. And here is the contradiction. Over 100 of these artifacts have been discovered across Europe, yet not a single Roman text, diagram, or inscription explains what they are. What if an object could exist within one of the most documented civilizations in history, and still remain entirely unknown? This is not myth. This is metal. And history, so often confident in its narrative, begins to hesitate. The Roman Empire, at its height between the 1st and 4th centuries CE, stretched from the sands of North Africa to the forests of Northern Europe. It was a civilization deeply invested in record-keeping. Military operations were documented, engineering methods preserved, and even mundane objects, from cooking utensils to agricultural tools, were described, categorized, and understood. Roman material culture is among the most studied in the ancient world. Within this context, artifacts rarely stand alone. A tool is accompanied by depictions, a religious object by inscriptions or architectural placement, a toy by context within domestic space. The system is not perfect, but it is coherent. And this is where the contradiction begins. Roman dodecahedra do not appear in any known Roman writings. They are not depicted in mosaics, frescoes, or reliefs. No surviving text references their existence. And yet, they are real, physically present, recovered from archaeological sites that are otherwise well understood. Most have been found in regions that were once the northwestern provinces of the Roman Empire, modern-day France, Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. These were frontier zones, places where Roman influence met indigenous cultures. Military forts, rural settlements, and small towns define the landscape of their discovery. But here is the unsettling part. These objects are not crude or improvised. They are finely crafted, consistent in their geometric precision, and often made from bronze, a material that required both skill and resources to produce. This suggests intention, purpose, value, and yet their purpose remains absent. The first known discovery of a Roman dodecahedron dates back to the 18th century, though it was not immediately recognized as part of a broader pattern. Over time, as more examples were unearthed, a quiet realization emerged. This was not an isolated curiosity. It was a class of objects. Imagine a field in northern France, the soil turned by centuries of agriculture. A worker, perhaps in the 19th century, uncovers a small metallic form. It is unlike anything familiar. Not a coin, not a tool, not a fragment of a larger device. It is complete in itself. Symmetrical, balanced, mysterious. Similar scenes repeat across Europe. In Germany, near the remains of Roman forts, dodecahedra are found buried among everyday artifacts, pottery shards, tools, remnants of habitation. In Britain, they appear in contexts that suggest domestic or civilian life. Occasionally, they are discovered alongside coins, allowing archaeologists to date them roughly between the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE. Each discovery adds to the same question, rather than answering it. The objects vary slightly in size, typically ranging from about 4 to 11 centimeters in diameter. Each of the 12 pentagonal faces contains a circular hole, and notably, the holes are not uniform. Their diameters differ, often in a pattern that appears deliberate. The corners, where the faces meet, are marked by small spherical knobs, giving the object a textured, almost ornamental appearance. There is no wear pattern that clearly indicates repeated mechanical use. No residue that consistently suggests a specific function. Some are found in good condition, others damaged, but none reveal obvious signs of how they were handled. This is not myth. This is bronze. And so the evidence begins to accumulate, layer by layer. Metallurgical analysis confirms that these objects were cast using techniques consistent with Roman craftsmanship. The bronze composition varies slightly, but generally aligns with known Roman alloys. There is no indication that they were mass-produced in a centralized manner. Instead, subtle differences suggest they may have been made by different artisans across regions. Their distribution is also telling. They are almost entirely absent from the core regions of the Roman Empire, such as Italy or the eastern provinces. Instead, they cluster in the northwest. This geographic limitation hints at a localized function or cultural significance. But here, the clarity ends. Archaeologists and historians have proposed numerous interpretations, each attempting to fit the dodecahedra into the known frameworks of Roman life. One of the most widely discussed theories is that they were measuring devices. The varying hole sizes could, in principle, be used to estimate distances or dimensions. By aligning the object with the eye and sighting through opposite holes, a user might gauge the size of distant objects. This idea has been tested experimentally, with some suggesting that the dodecahedron could function as a rudimentary rangefinder. Yet this explanation raises further questions. If such a device were useful, why is it not mentioned in Roman military manuals or engineering texts? Why is there no standardization in size or hole diameter? Precision tools in the Roman world tended to follow consistent patterns. Another theory proposes that they were related to knitting or textile work specifically, as tools for creating gloves. The holes could guide the shaping of fingers, allowing for consistent sizing. Some modern demonstrations have shown that it is possible to knit gloves using a dodecahedron. But here is the unsettling part. There is no direct evidence linking these objects to textile production, no associated tools, no depictions, no contextual clues that place them within workshops or domestic weaving environments. Others suggest a religious or ritual function. The unusual shape, the careful craftsmanship, and the lack of obvious utility could point to symbolic use. Perhaps they were used in divination, or as objects of ceremonial significance. The 12 faces might carry meaning, echoing the 12 months, the zodiac, or other cyclical systems. And yet, no inscriptions, no iconography, no consistent placement within temples or shrines supports this interpretation conclusively. There are also more practical suggestions: candle holders, gaming pieces, surveying instruments, even decorative objects. Each theory attempts to resolve the tension between form and function. But none fully succeeds. History does not break easily. But here, it bends. The Roman dodecahedra exist within a well-documented civilization, yet they resist integration into its narrative. They are not isolated anomalies. They are repeated, distributed, and consistent in their design. And still, they remain undefined. This is where the mystery deepens, not in the object itself, but in the silence that surrounds it. Consider the nature of historical knowledge. It is built from fragments, texts, artifacts, structures, each contributing to a larger picture. When multiple lines of evidence converge, understanding emerges. But when one element stands apart, unsupported by the others, it creates a gap. The dodecahedra occupy such a gap. They are not rare enough to be dismissed as unique curiosities, nor common enough to be easily contextualized. They sit at the edge of understanding, where speculation begins but certainty does not follow. And so, the debate continues. Some scholars argue that the absence of evidence is itself informative, that these objects may have held a function so mundane, so culturally specific, that it was never considered worth recording. Others suggest the opposite, that their significance may have been esoteric, restricted to certain groups or practices that left no lasting trace in the historical record. Both possibilities are plausible. Neither is provable. This is not myth. This is archaeology. And archaeology, despite its rigor, is not immune to ambiguity. In the end, the Roman dodecahedra do not offer answers. They offer a question, one that persists across centuries. They remind us that even within the most studied civilizations, there are elements that remain unresolved, objects that exist without explanation. Purposes that have been lost, not because they were hidden, but because they were never recorded. And perhaps that is the most unsettling part. Not that the past contains mysteries, but that it can contain them so quietly embedded within the ordinary, overlooked, unremarked upon by those who once understood them completely. The dodecahedra were not mysterious to the Romans. They were simply known. And now, they are not. History does not always forget through destruction. Sometimes, it forgets through silence. And in that silence, these small bronze shapes endure, unchanged, unexplained, and waiting.